A cold December drizzle was falling as I stood in my place and listened to the loud blare of the prelude music for our daily exercises. I rolled up my collar and stuffed my hands into my pockets, but I could not stop shivering. It seemed that winter had come overnight. Though my eyes were fixed on the back of the head lined up in front of me, Grandma's worried voice still echoed in my mind. Your dad has been sent to political study class. For the last week or two, Dad had been coming home very late every night. Sometimes, even before he ate, he and Mom would go into the bathroom and shut the door while they talked. We heard their muffled voices discuss bad news. Uncle Ju had been detained by the theater while they investigated his suspected counter-revolutionary activities. Aunt Wu had been detained too, even though her only crime was having bad relations with other men before she married Uncle Tian. Dad smoked in the bathroom as he paced up and down. Whenever the mom opened the door, a heavy odor of tobacco rolled out. Other times he would sit at the desk without a smile, writing silently while the cigarette smoke filled the apartment. I knew that Dad's political study class, like mine, studied Chairman Mao's works and party central committee documents. But unlike mine, the purpose of his class was to make the participants confess their mistakes or crimes. Only people whose mistakes were very serious were sent to these classes. What mistakes had Dad made other than having a landlord for a father? Could he really be a rightist after all? I clenched my fists in my pocket. The family problems seemed to grow on my back like a tumor, and whatever I did, they just grew worse. The music stopped. Now let's begin our morning benediction. Please get your precious red books ready. A familiar voice interrupted my thoughts. My deskmate, Chung Hung, was standing on the platform. It was her turn to lead the morning exercises again. She was wearing her favorite green army uniform, and the belt around her waist made her look even plumper than usual. Even from the last row, I could see her glowing red cheeks. She was a celebrity now, newly elected to the Red Guards Committee, one of only 9 people elected by all the Red Guards in the school. Ever since she had joined the committee, I had felt myself pulling away from her, even though I had admired her more. She was nice enough, frank, sincere, and sympathetic. But as a child from a black family, a black whelp, I felt awkward around a Red Guard leader. Now, let's sincerely and wholeheartedly wish long life to our great leader, great teacher, great commander, and great helmsman, Chairman Mao. Her emotional voice blared from the loudspeaker, and I reached into my pocket for my precious red book. It was not there. I had forgotten to put it back in my pocket after I had washed my jacket yesterday, and standing right behind me was the head of the school, Chairman Jin, who had repeatedly stressed the importance of the morning benediction. If he found out that I had forgotten to bring my precious red book, would he give me trouble? Would he criticize me in front of the entire school? I froze. I couldn't decide whether to wave my hand without the precious red book or to put my hand down. Something red flashed in front of me, and the plastic cover of a precious red book was in my hand. In relief, I clutched the cover, which looked just like the red book from a distance, and waved my hand 3 times. Long life to Chairman Mao, long life, I shouted with my classmates. I looked gratefully at my rescuer. To my surprise, it was my classmate, Sun Lin Lin. Her thick glasses reflected the light as she looked to the front. She repeated the chant, waving her coverless, precious red book as if nothing had happened. I would have never have guessed that Lin Lin, so quiet in class that I hardly knew she was there, would be so sharp. If I had been in her position, I thought, I would have never even have noticed the problem, let alone come up with such a quick solution. As soon as the exercises were over, I turned to Lin Lin and put the cover in her hand. Thanks a lot, you really saved my life. She made no answer, just shook her head slightly and smiled shyly. Chairman Jin was right behind me. I was scared out of my wits. She still said nothing, but she did smile a little more broadly. With her short, naturally curly hair and her light yellow corduroy jacket, she looked like a little doll, a lovely doll with glasses. The classroom was quiet. Everyone was paying close attention to Teacher Lee's low voice. It was always a relief when math class started. Teacher Lee was over 50 years old, and her hoarse voice was not very loud, but when she stood before the class, she seemed so intent and serious that we had to listen to her. We were impressed by the fact that she had been teaching for almost 30 years and had been a model teacher year after year, and by the rumor that she had never married and had devoted her whole life to her teaching. The fact that she insisted on using her own lecture notes with added quotations from Chairman Mao instead of the mimeographed handouts made us respect her even more. Generally speaking, the results of this test were better than the last. Teacher Lee cleared her throat and unconsciously brushed her right sleeve with her left hand. After years of doing that every time she used the blackboard, she did it now even when there was no chalk dust there to brush off. 5 students failed, and 2, Baishan and Jiang Ji Li, got 100%. Wow, 100 again, that's great, Chang Hong cried out and slapped me heartily on the back. Teacher Lee stopped talking. The whole class turned to look at me. I wanted to give Chang Hong a big kick. Then I saw the expression in their eyes. Every face was friendly. Chang Hong expressed her admiration openly and directly. Lin Lin's shy smile was genuinely glad, and Baishan's look was one of sincere congratulation. Even Teacher Lee's usually serious face was smiling slightly. It felt almost like a dream from long ago. I remembered another Ji Lee, one who was always praised by her teachers and respected by her classmates. A Ji Lee who always pushed herself to do better, achieve more. For once, I forgot my worries and smiled with my whole heart. Time always passed too quickly in math class. Teacher Lee was closing her notebook when she remembered a note that was in it. Oh, there's a message. Jiang Ji Li and Baishan, please stay after class. Teacher Jiang would like to speak with you. She put the note back into her book and turned to clean the blackboard. Suddenly, I felt nervous again. Had I done something wrong? Did this have something to do with my class status? My classmates were also uneasy. They all turned their eyes towards Teacher Lee. The whole room felt tense. Teacher Lee finished erasing the blackboard and turned around, brushing her right sleeve with her left hand. What's wrong? She asked in surprise. No one said anything. Chang Hong glanced anxiously at me and twisted her pencil. Oh, are you worried about Teacher Jiang seeing Jiang Ji Li and Baishan? It's nothing bad. He just wants to talk to them about joining the propaganda group for the Blackboard newspaper because they both have beautiful handwriting. The class burst out laughing. I laughed with them, at Teacher Lee who had not made the message clear, at my own fears, at the whole false alarm. I saw several classmates turning to look at me. Baishan's deskmate whispered in his ear and got a joking punch in return. Then I stopped laughing. I remembered primary school, the praises and the honors. But what had I gotten in the end? People were jealous because I was favored. I remembered the humiliating talk with the red successors, the terrible accusations of the Dadzabao. Why should I go through that again? High grades, propaganda group, and then what? When they found out about my family background, they would treat me just as Du Hai and Yin Lan Lan had. And Baishan and I were conspicuous enough in class. If we did the Blackboard newspaper together, people would start to gossip about us. Class was over. I grabbed Chang Han's arm as she was leaving. Will you do me a favor? Tell Teacher Jiang that I couldn't wait to see him. Why not? She looked surprised. I have to go home and make dinner, and I have a lot of housework to do every day. I don't have time to do the Blackboard newspaper. Without waiting for her response, I picked up my school bag and headed for the door.